Hello, everyone. This is the show Nothing to Something, and I am your host, Matt Harrington. This is the weekly show for those who want to challenge themselves to be more aware of mental health problems within society and themselves. In this show, we go over topics like physical and mental health that shape our everyday lives and how we can all help each other and keep fighting the fight. I go over with the guests their struggles with mental and physical health and a message at the end of each episode to help the people listening with their struggles. Hello, everyone. This is the podcast Nothing to Something. I am your host, Matt Harrington, and today we have Gabriela joining us on the show. She's going to share a little bit about what she has gone through, stuff she's struggled with, and, positive message at the end, like always, for helping others. And let's just get started. So, Gabriela, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, hanging in there. Just went to PT today, actually, and got told I can't go back to work for another month because of my back, but otherwise I'm doing great. So,
Fine.
yeah. So my first question for you is, and then we'll just keep going on from there. What is one thing you believe you struggle with? It could be physically, mentally, socially, anything.
Honestly, it's like adjusting to the system while like in Cuba. It was just like kind of like complicated because you couldn't really like express how you actually felt. So kind of I just really struggled with that growing up because I really couldn't express how I felt because like I genuinely physically couldn't. So
Hmm.
it was just like a struggle. Like expressing myself as an individual was like a struggle. So.
That makes sense. Like, did you feel like friends definitely helped as a part of it? They helped like bring out your emotions like to light more, or was it kind of the
Definitely people that
opposite?
close. Yeah, definitely people that I was close with and my friends because they understood how it was. A lot of us like hated the fact that we couldn't like express how we felt because we just like simply would get in trouble for it. So it was just we would talk about it a lot. So that definitely did help because we would just like talk about it and just like let out a lot of our feelings, but we couldn't make a change. So that it was just like kind of hard for us to like just get over the fact that we couldn't do anything about our situation, but to talk about it with each other. But that definitely did help though, to talk about it with each other.
Oh, 100%. And just to reiterate, so people, listening, because people skip ahead all the time. So you grew up in Cuba, and
Yes.
you came to the States when you were 12, I believe.
Yes.
Right. So, that whole system, like you were talking about, like the change and stuff, is like night and day. I guess in some
Yeah.
ways you could say.
Yeah.
I've never personally experienced it, but I can only imagine how hard that is. And in a way, I'm grateful you're here and you're being able to talk about this now, and you're given the liberty to do this. But I'm also sorry that you had to go through that stuff and you had
It's
to,
all good. You get
keep
used to
stuff
it.
under wraps.
You get used to it after a while, you know. You're like it's like as a kid, you just don't really like have to worry much about it. But like when you just like grow up, you're just like, damn, I want to say something, but I can't. So,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Um, I know another thing I wanted to ask was when you figured out, you know, how to adjust to society just like a little bit and get through things, how do you think that changed you as a person? Like, because you said it was definitely difficult, like on your mental health and stuff, and maybe even your physical health changing to this new way of life. How has that changed you as a person?
oh, like I'm definitely not afraid to like express my feelings anymore. It has changed my friendships, my relationships with like my friends and parents. So like I'm much more open and honest than I used to be before. Cause now I don't feel like I have to like hold anything in. I could just be like, listen, if there's a problem, I'm gonna tell you. Now we have social media and we have freedom of speech. So basically I have a chance to like talk about whatever. And and like the personal life and relationships and like family stuff, when there are problems, I'm the first one to speak up and try to solve the issue. Even if it's like a general issue, I'll be the first one to try to pull it all together. So like it's just like helped me. Like I have honestly I've gained happy weight. I have like been like able to like make my relationships a lot more stronger, and it's like a stronger bond because now like when you're like honest with people, they appreciate that much more that if you like sugarcoat everything.
Hmm.
So like it has definitely changed my character a lot. It's like a lot of personal growth. So
That's really good. I haven't quite heard that yet from anyone, and that's cool to hear from someone who actually came from a whole different country, and you've just adapted so well to the society, this, crazy, somewhat horrible at the moment society. But um that's cool how you use social media, even though it can be super, super negative
now
nowadays.
it has
You're using it
become,
as such a positive.
yeah, you just like have to make the world a better place sometimes.
Yeah, and I also like how you said like you're always the first to step up in your family and your friends to say, "Hey, this isn't right," or "Hey, we need to talk about this," like instead of physically taking it out or holding it in and just exploding later on, it's just you're just expressing how you feel, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
Of course. Um Another thing I wanted to ask. Sorry, I'm reading from my list. I really shouldn't be, but it's just a list. What would you say like a good technique people can use to help them get through a tough time? Because I know what you've gone through is not necessarily easy in any way. It's definitely hard. I don't think I'd be able to do it, but it's like what technique did you use to get through it? Like how did you talk to family members? Did you talk to
I do a lot
friends?
of
Did you go to therapy or what was going on?
writing, writing and art. Like I just use like my method of like kind of like happiness to just like get away, like express my emotions. If I was angry, I would write. If I was like just like I don't know, like feeling sad, then I would like paint something that kind of like express how I felt. Like I would just like find something that always like kind of like distracted me from reality, I guess. And
Hmm.
then I would like kind of reflect my emotions onto whatever I was doing, whether it was art or like writing. I have like about 5 notebooks just full of like writings. So
That's
it's like
crazy.
I write a lot to like let out my emotions because if I feel like sometimes I'm gonna be a little too harsh or there's some things that you just can't say sometimes. So I
Hmm.
just put them in a notebook where nobody can judge it, nobody can say anything negative about it. No, nobody knows but me and my notebook. And I feel like sometimes I look at it as a friend. They're not really like talking back, but they're listening, I guess. So like that was a technique that I used. It was art, it was writing. Sometimes like even walking, like going out on a walk, like feeling the air, or just like sleeping
I
or cooking.
I guess like I never thought of it in that sort of light before. I never really thought about writing. I know I've been told about it, but I never really put much thought to it. But now that I'm talking to you about it, that seems really cool. And you said painting. So how long have you been painting? About a
I've
couple of
been painting
years, more than a
since
few
I was
years?
4. Since I was 4, I
Since
was
you were
painting.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you
So
ever decided to like take that to social media? Maybe like on Instagram, make an art account for it. Sorry, or something like that. Or do you already have one? Or what's your idea
I
on that?
have I have never really like posted my social like my art on social media because like I don't know, personally I haven't really like I look at it like as like the much like personal stuff. So it's just like to share it, I feel like it would genuinely take a lot. But like there's a lot of artists that put their work out there and people interpret it in like many different ways.
Hmm.
And I definitely love like one day just like just be like, hey, here's some art, like here's some paintings that I made, and just show it to the world and just be like, what does that mean? And I'm just like, I guess we'll never know. It's really up to you to decide. So like I guess that's something I would genuinely love to do. But so far I don't think I like made a painting that I could like put out there and just be like, this is the one.
Hmm.
Because all of them are like either like really like hard to understand or like messy because they're like sometimes they're scribbles, sometimes they're like really dark figures. So like I don't know, it would definitely change the way people like view me because they would like I don't really post like my like how I feel sometimes, but like
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell others, like I'll tell people that I'm close with or like that the issue is with, just not social media. But
Yeah.
it would definitely be like I've actually never thought of making an art page for like my paintings or anything. Like nobody really knows that I paint like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I really never thought about it. So
I mean, that's really cool. I have an idea that you might want to use it. You could take it or leave it, doesn't matter to me. Um, but I was thinking how would you think about instead of like painting your own feelings, because I feel like that tells a deeper story which you don't necessarily want everyone to know about, or if someone finds out you don't want it to, spread everywhere. And I get that because I felt that way with my anxiety, OCD, all this crazy stuff going on through my head. Um, but have you ever thought about maybe taking a picture with someone and like maybe like you took a selfie with someone or you have a picture of someone else, one of your friends? Have you ever tried painting their emotions onto it and maybe just giving paintings of them, of their emotions to them and saying, "Hey, I remember this picture. I wanted to paint how you feel at that moment and give it to you and show you how I feel about you." Like, have you ever thought about doing that?
I actually did it once to one of my closest friends and I painted her as a fairy. It had like a lot of meaning. So I it took me like about 3 months to finish that painting. So it was it was a fairy painting because the way I look at her is like you came into my life and you like magically changed it. You know, it was
Yeah.
like that. We had become friends like a couple like it was a day after like a couple of days after I had just moved here from Cuba and we became friends. She like helped me like translate my stuff. She helped me like communicate with people and it was hard because the language barrier was huge and I didn't know a bit of English at all. And she helped me and she barely even knew that like that much Spanish and now she knows a lot. And we've like helped each other grow and I painted her in like that kind of sense. And it was just like she cried. I was like, I mean, I'm not really the type to like show that much emotion because like if I get too emotional, I'm just gonna like panic. So
I feel the same way. If I'm just like, if I start feeling a hint of emotion, I'm just like, nope. Just
yeah,
push that
yeah, like
away. I do not need that.
so that's just like how I am. I'm just like, here you go. I love you. I this is like the one time you're gonna hear from me because like I don't know, like I'm just not really the type to be like clingy like that.
Yeah.
But that's just like my way of expressing my love to her, but never to like any other friends. I've never actually thought of that just besides her. But like I should do it because sometimes when I can't express myself, I could do that.
Yeah, and I was thinking like I don't want to push you in any direction saying you should do this, you shouldn't do this because I
Oh
just
yeah,
don't feel like that's the right thing to do. But um maybe if you want to try and just if, even if it's not a friend, just make a social media page. It doesn't have to be super popular. Like I have a photography page and I just post weird funky looking pictures all the time and I guess people like them because I get likes on it and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job. And I haven't had one person say, "Hey, I really don't like your photos." And if that ever, comes to light saying, "Hey, I really don't like this picture," then, oh, well, that's your opinion. I don't really care. But, but I feel like maybe just creating a social page for it and just saying, "Hey, I'm not selling paintings. I'm not selling drawings. I'm just showing you what I've done for friends." And it can start off with the fairy one, or it can start off with one of your family members, just looking at them one day and saying, "Hey, maybe I can express how I'm feeling right now about them through a painting." So, That's just my idea of one thing you can use as a technique.
I have like I've like probably only thought about it for the one time, but never really like thought of it in that sense
Hmm.
because like I don't know. I feel like it could like it could go one or two ways. Like, oh my god, what is this? Or wow, this is beautiful. I love it. So it could like it go right or wrong. So like I would genuinely just like post it, but I wouldn't let those people like that. Let's just say I don't feel too great about them, and I post it. I feel like that would just kill it.
Oh yeah, totally. And you don't even have to bring up their name. You can just keep it to yourself, like you're saying, and just,
To
you
make it
know
like
what? Yeah, just keep it anonymous and just be like, hey, this is for one of the people I know, and this is how I feel about them. And you're probably gonna get questions left and right, like, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? And sure, you may tell someone you really trust or, really consider to be a good friend. But at the same time, you could just say, hey, I just want to keep it to myself and just show you what I can do, and if it's doing that, then that's amazing.
yeah. Actually I was thinking of combining art with photography. So
That's
that
really good.
I just wouldn't know exactly how to do that, but I'll figure out a way.
I could
Maybe
definitely help you a little bit with the picture part of it. The drawing, no, no, that is
too.
not my forte right there. I could I could not draw a stick figure for my life.
Oh my god, you definitely could. Stop it.
No, nope. I no. I was the last time I took art was seventh grade. That was 5 years ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I barely passed with a B. So we're talking like a really bad art student. But I can take pictures pretty well. So that's about it.
I mean, it's a form of art, so it does still count.
Yeah, this I guess this still counts. It's just a little something I picked up from my uncle, and he was showing me pictures and stuff he took, and I was like, I really want to try that. And then my friends started getting into it, and then my uncle's dad is actually like a professional photographer, and he was like, I really like your photos, and that made me feel amazing. And I took photos of sometimes of people, I mentioned them, they're like, great job, but I started just taking photos of nature, and it made me feel really good.
Nature, yes. Yes. I have a whole bunch of cameras. They don't work anymore because they're kind of old.
Hmm.
I I was into it for a little while, and then I kind of like left it because I lost my motivation,
Yeah,
unfortunately. But
I mean,
um,
you can just use your phone. You don't really need a high-tech camera. That's kind of how I started. And then once I understood how to use my phone as a really good camera, then I dived into, or dove into, not dived, into the actual like physical good camera, because my mom has one of those like really good EOS Rebel Canon, whatever they're called nowadays. She has one of those, and that's what I started using. And I found even more than I like taking the picture, I like thinking about the picture and how I'm going to be able to edit it and transform it into a way I like to express myself.
I used to do that when and just like post it on my Instagram. I used to take the flowers because I have a thing for flowers and the ocean. But that's when I was in Cuba. I would take a lot of pictures of the ocean and the flowers. The
Hmm.
flowers, I would like kind of like try to brighten up their color because I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't know if it's like just me or like the world doesn't look that bright anymore as it used to when we were kids.
No, when we were kids, it always seemed sunshine and rainbows because we were
Yeah.
kids. We didn't really know better. But now that we kind of know what the world is and we're just getting bits and pieces of it here and there, it's not that great of a place, but you're able to make it better, and that's all you can do. You just got to have a right state of mind.
Yeah. It's
You
kind of
know,
hard now.
but my last thing I want to ask you before we end this, or if you want to bring up anything else, you could just take the time, go for it. But I really want to ask you this one thing real quick. If you could give one statement, one message to the listeners, and I always do this near the end or in the middle or wherever to my guest,